We have been debating providing health care for all Americans. We've been debating that since Harry Truman. We have been debating it through Democratic and Republican administrations, and nothing has happened. And you know why? Because drug companies and insurance companies have spent $1 billion over the last 10 years blocking reform. They've worked an insider game, and the American people have been locked out of the conversation. We've been talking for decades now about the need to make sure that we've got energy independence for the Middle East. We shouldn't keep on sending money to Iran because we are dependent on foreign oil and boosting up oil prices. And yet, year after year after year, we don't do anything about it. And part of the reason is when Dick Cheney is assigned to figure out our energy policy, he meets with the environmental groups once, he meets with the renewable energy folks once, and then he meets with the oil and gas companies 40 times. But it's not just Dick Cheney. There's some Democrats who owe favors too. And so we have to recognize that it's not just a matter of changing political parties. We have to change how politics is done in America. It's a little easier to get a sense of what I mean by new kind of politics when you get outside of Washington. One of the best trips that I've taken since I started running for president was a trip I took to California. I went to Oakland because the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, had organized a day to walk in the shoes of one of their members. And so I went to Oakland, California, and I got there at 5 in the morning. I woke up at 5 in the morning, and I went to the house of a 61-year-old woman named Pauline Beck. And she's a home care worker. She makes about $10 an hour. And every single day she wakes up and she takes care of 2 foster children who don't have families of their own. She gets them ready for school, she gets them dressed, then she goes to her job, which is to look after an 86-year-old amputee. And she makes his bed and helps him get dressed and prepares his breakfast and helps him put his leg on and does his laundry, does all the things required to take care of him. And so that morning, I did what she normally does. And I scrubbed the floors, and I made the bed, and I did the laundry, and my wife could not believe it when she heard about this. But it was the best day that I've ever had on the campaign trail so far, because listening to this humble woman talk about the hardships of her life, without a trace of self-pity, just glad to be of service to somebody, glad that she could help this 86-year-old man stay connected with his community, just hoping that maybe she could get a little more pay to help out those foster kids, just hoping that maybe she could get a little more security for her retirement, just hoping that maybe, just maybe she could get a day off once in a while to rest a tired back. I was reminded of the core decency of the American people. Now, the American people, they get confused sometimes. Sometimes they're busy, they're distracted, they're not paying attention, but when you talk to them one-on-one, there's a decency and a generosity of spirit there that needs to be tapped. Because we can't just have that decency expressed in our own families, in our religious communities. It's got to express itself in our government. The basic idea that I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper. That's a different kind of politics. It's the idea of politics as a mission and not a business. A politics of principle and not just power. Now, I have to admit, Portland, that when I start talking like this, some of the pundits start rolling their eyes. They say, oh, he's talking about hope again. He's so naive. He's a hope peddler. He's a hope monger. And I stand guilty as charged. I am optimistic about America. I do feel hopeful about America. What's wrong with America is not the American people. The American people are the problem. 13 innocent men to death row. I got the experience of overcoming the special interests, like when I helped clean up money in politics in Illinois. At the time when I got there in the state legislature, it was legal to take campaign contributions and use them for your personal use. You could build an addition to your house, buy your wife a mink coat as long as you listed it on your income tax returns. I said that was wrong, and let me tell you, it was objected to not just by Republicans, but leaders of my own party. But we pushed and we got it done. Just like last year, we pushed the toughest ethics reform legislation since Watergate, eliminating deals, eliminating gifts from lobbyists and corporate jets from lobbyists, and making sure that you could know who lobbyists were funneling money from and who they were funneling it to. Because I think it makes sense for the American people to know who exactly is paying the piper in Washington. That's how we're going to create accountability. That's the kind of transparency that we want in our government. I've got the experience of speaking out and telling the truth when it's tough. Like back in 2002 when I stood up in front of 3,000 people and said that we should not go to war in Iraq. Standing up against the war at a time when it was unpopular to stand up against the war. Later on when everybody was against the war. But when it gets to 60-70% standing up against the war. Because I know there was not the right thing to do. Even if the politics were right. Unifying the country to get things done. Standing up to the special interest-driven politics. Standing up for the truth even when it's hard. Those are the experiences I bring. So I understand that I may not have the experience of the Washington Lights, but I've got the experience that America needs right now, and that is why I'm running for the presidency of the United States of America. We have to all stand up now, because the choices we make now are going to impact not just us, but future generations. I don't know about you, but I do not accept that in the wealthiest nation on earth, we should still have 47 million people without health insurance, and millions more who are struggling with bankruptcy